And welcome back to part 2 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, where today we are persevering with our journey down into the marker reactor core, as we are going to plant a bomb and get the hell out of here, as we make our statement to Shinra that we will not stand to let them drain the planet of its lifeblood. But we got a cutscene before that happens, so enjoy.
Alright, let's see if Little Stamp really can bite the hand that feeds. Go on, do the honors. Prove to me you're the man Tifa says you are. That you're one of us.
Never said I was. I'm just here for the paycheck.
Then do the damn job! What's wrong?
I'm fine. What about the timer?
Your call, Merc. Pretty cocky, ain't you? You double-crossing!
Heads up!
What in the hell?
It's time for the first boss of the game, the Scorpion Sentinel. It used to be known as Guard Scorpion, but, you know, translation differences, I suppose. The original translation of Final Fantasy VII wasn't perfect, so the remake took the opportunity to correct a few things. But this first boss, it's going to introduce you to the absolute insanity that comes along with every single boss in this game. There isn't a single boss in this game that isn't multi-phased. They are all major events that have cinematic pieces, have like set pieces, can be quite difficult if you're not sure what you're supposed to do, have weaknesses to exploit and strengths to be wary of, have certain attacks that can be dodged, certain attacks that can be countered. They are extremely elaborate. It's one of the most impressive things about this game, is as the game goes on, there's actually a healthy number of bosses in this game, considering how insanely elaborate a lot of them are. Speaking of, we've already just broken into Phase 2. The main strategy with the Scorpion Sentinel is trying to bring up that pressure gauge, so focused thrust is going to be your best friend, or focused shots if you prefer using Barretts. In this second phase, you'll put up a field generator, making it the only place you can hurt it is the weak spots that's making the generator on its back. Alternatively, be wary using magic whilst it's using in this form, because it will kind of get drained a lot. As you saw right there, past me tried to use thunder magic on it, because it is weak to thunder, it's just with the whole time this generator's up, there's not much we can do. That was unfortunate there, where I got too close to the fence so I couldn't get away, but that attack's easy enough to read to be able to get the way out of. The main thing to be wary of, if I'm honest, is that where you need to be keeping up thunder magic, I'd suggest with Barretts, is making sure he has enough MP to actually, you know, constantly use the thunder magic. Additionally, there's a chance you're not going to see it on this attempt because I just play too well, and that's not me gloating, it's literally because it's a mechanic that's in play for if you're struggling and it doesn't happen in this fight, but I know for a lot of people it will. There is a system in this game called Limit, or Limit Break. There is a bar underneath our MPs, that little yellow bar that's like filled up like about a fifth right now. As you take damage, that will fill up during a fight. So if you get beat up a lot, you will build up your limits to eventually get a very powerful counter. And there are these extremely flashy finishing attacks or special skills that can really turn the tide of battle. And they're a sight to behold, and you're damn right you're going to see a number of them as the game goes on. But for a lot of people, the first instance of seeing that is during this fight, and it doesn't happen. I end up killing this boss too quickly as we break into the third phase. Additionally, just to show the absolute insanity of this game's scale and ambition, the music will change with the phase shifts in every single boss, and every boss has its own unique theme. So now, right now, with the Scorpion Sentinel, as we break into the third phase and be introduced to unblockables, which this thing can use. If you ever see a red symbol next to the attack name, it means it can't be blocked, so you need to get out the way of it, one way or another. But the music has shifted, more instruments have been added, it's playing a different section of the track. They have enhanced it and built up the pressure and the tension of it to make it a more and more engaging track as it goes on. It's just going to become more explosive, more frantic, more high energy all the way to the end to make the fight so much more exciting. It's been a while since I've got to do this, but I'm going to shut up and let the music play, because holy shit is the soundtrack of this game one of the best things I've ever heard.
Bring it. Keep it together. Heads up! Tail laser!
I see it!
Then take cover already!
Bring in the heat!
Strike now, before it fires again!
You got this!
Fight through it!
This game is so sick, dude. Even if Cloud's AI there kind of failed and he took its tail laser to the face, this game is so fucking cool. Like, it wasn't even close when I put this as my game of the year last year. Like, the moment I was like, even like at the first boss at this stage was kicking off, I was like, oh no, this game's fucking cool. This game kicks ass. And it's not even as someone who's like got the bias of being a Final Fantasy VII fan to begin with. This game and all of its own merit is fucking phenomenal in my opinion. It's genuinely amazing and I love it to pieces. And I cannot wait to see how this goes on. Because as it's kind of commonly known at this point, this is only part one of the true remake story they want to do. There's going to be more parts acting as direct sequels, and I genuinely think this was the right approach as we kill this boss.
There goes another.
With a well-timed, focused Braver attack to wrap it up.
Shit, the bomb!
20 minutes until detonation.
You hear that? Damn thing showed you how it's done.
Come on, we've got to move.
I genuinely think it was their wisest idea, instead of trying to compress the entirety of the original Final Fantasy VII in one go into this fully realized 3D remake, doing it in chunks. I genuinely think it was the smarter option, because people underestimate just how big and how many different environments and different minor things there actually was in the original Final Fantasy VII that they only got away with because of how they handled backgrounds, of how they were drawn and then they put basically CG effects on top of it. And so they didn't have to make 3D environments. It's basically like a 2.5D game for the most part, where you got 3D models and the environments are quote-unquote 3D, but they're not. They're drawings that are just specialized in a way to make them feel more involving and more 3D. And so they could make the game stupendously big without it being as taxing on resources as obviously making actual 3D environments. So if they tried to make a full 3D from beginning to end recreation of the original Final Fantasy VII, it probably would have been a piece of work. It probably would have been really compromised. But now instead, this entire first part of the remake is entirely focused on Midgar, which a lot of people say, oh, it was only the prologue of the original game, it's such a tiny piece, but it was also, you know, the most detailed fucking section of the game, you know, the big mega city. This entire game takes place in Midgar, whilst in the original, that was like the opening 2 hours or so.
Come this way.
At most, to be honest. If you knew what you were doing, you could get that done real quickly in the original 7. And I'd love to cover the original 7 someday. It's just a shame that right now, at least, it's for some reason got blocked scenes from the PS4 version, which is baffling considering it came out in 1997. So like every single plot twist of the original 7 is so universally well known at this point. But whatever.
Let's go.
It is what they decide to do, and until they get rid of it, it's my hands are tied. I can't cover FF7. Well, unless I wanted to rip footage from other things, but I don't want to do that. It's just not something I like doing or really want to ever do. I think the only time I ever kind of tried to work around that was in Final Fantasy 15, when like the credits played copyrighted music that the game auto-muted. I just reintegrated the music because I don't care if I get flagged. As long as, well, I say that, it's not flagged, it's if they want to claim it, it's fine. It's if I got copyright struck, there would have been a problem, but I knew they was only going to claim it, which is what they did.
Don't worry, I'll be fine. I've got Soldier Boy with me.
X, Soldier Boy.
But I should really talk about the section at hand and what my decision earlier to pick a smaller time limit actually entails. We came here to plant a bomb in the Marco reactor to detonate it, to, you know, break it, to send a message out to Shinra. Now that bomb is primed, we need to get the hell out of the blasting zone, which is why the timer until it goes off is at the top center of the screen. When you came to planting the bomb during that cutscene, it gave you the option to pick whether to pick a shorter time limit or a longer time limit. If you pick the shorter time limit, you'll get an additional reward later on that I will point out in the next video. Because we won't get it in this video. This video is going to be the escape sequence, the beginning of the aftermath, and then wrap up. Because I want to try and keep these video lengths a more reasonable length as a whole. There'll certainly be longer videos. Like, I just finished up the editing for a video coming up in the VII Remake that's like 45 minutes long, so there will certainly be longer videos, but whilst I can get away with more reasonable lengths, I'd rather keep them more reasonable, which I know might be annoying for some, but I also have to keep in mind that like not everyone's got 50 fucking minutes to spare every day to watch my videos. I want them to be like reasonable in length. Like, I don't want them to be bite-sized. I always try and stop my videos from being too short. I've mentioned before that I really don't like videos under 15 minutes in length if I can help it. Sometimes I really can't help it, which is frustrating, but it is what it is. But my sweet spot is always between 25 and 45. And I know this is under as well, but that's they're the sweet spot. If I can be in the range of that, I'm happy. If it's anything less than more than it, it's very rare. And if it's too much more or too much less, like if I'm nearly breaking an hour, or it's like less than 15 minutes, then I'm not happy usually. Because I feel like it could be broken up more. Unless it's like a very specific event that requires a set amount of time. These shock troopers, a lot of people have trouble with them early on. Their easiest break is parrying. So go into your Punisher mode, hold the guard, and wait. They will attack you eventually and you can parry them and you can kill them very quickly afterwards off of it. And when you come up here and there's two of them, same again. Just hold the parry and then go all out once you make it until they recover. Because they will dodge a majority of attacks up until that point. As you can see there, where they just dodged a crap ton of bullets from Barrett. And these Sentinel rays have respawned, and thanks Barrett, thanks for clipping that hitbox of the ground instead of hitting the enemy. There. Because Cloud's kind of useless. If he has magic, he can do something, which to be fair he does, he just doesn't have the ATB to really do anything with it. Which is what I was kind of waiting on here. You see, I swapped him because I thought the ATB was about to fill, but it didn't. If I could make a minor critique, and it's not a critique, it's just something I would have loved for them to do. If they had made it so there was like a super hard timer, where it's like you only had 5 minutes, because it's doable in 5 minutes, we just did it in under 5 minutes. Because that's the end of the section. That would have been nice. Just to add like a super special, like, if you're ballsy enough, you can go for it. But no, that's not what they went for, unfortunately. 20 minutes is the lowest you can make it.
Sir.
Can you walk?
If I couldn't, believe me, you'd be the first to know.
I'll take that as a yes.
Okay, that was pretty cool. All right, come on.
Looks like we made it. And with nothing but a few scratches to show. Think you might have overdone it?
I followed the instructions to the letter. Maybe it triggered a reaction with the Mako?
Well, let's hope the city's still in one piece.
But the planet's what matters, right? I mean, this must have helped some.
After all that, it had better have. Anyway, let's get going. We in Sector 8?
That'd be just down there.
All right then, lead the way.
You got it. Huh.
Alright, one reactor down. And although in the cutscene we saw that there's something set up by Shinra to exaggerate the explosion to help pin Avalanche as a terrorist group, because that's obviously what's happening. If they can pin Avalanche as like a major threat to the country sort of thing, it'll be much easier for them to be painted as the bad guys so they can deal with them.
What is that?
But as the characters, obviously they didn't see that. So poor Jessie is going to end up having doubts here and there of, was this her fault? Did she go too heavy on the blasting agent? Was the reaction with the Mako what actually did it? Was there more to the picture? Which I really thought was a nice touch, because that was implied in the original version. It was implied that Shinra was setting up Avalanche to make them bigger targets to the general public, to make them hated by the general public before they dealt with them, instead of trying to deal with them in secrecy. But they never really highlighted that, whilst the remake takes that implication and runs with it, and ends up making something kind of interesting with it by having it that Shinra are actively almost not sabotaging themselves, but close enough solely to make Avalanche look like the bad guys to a much greater extent. So then when they start challenging them and start calling them out and start trying to fight against them, the general population backs them instead of Avalanche. They back the big major corporation instead of the freedom fighters, which is very applicable to the normal modern day society. Remember that fucking court case that ended not too long ago between Epic and Apple? And it's like, no, neither of you are the fucking good guys. Let's not pretend that anyone's the voice for the people. Yet they did everything in their power to swing it to make it sound like they were the voice for the people. And people bought it. People believed them. Thankfully, they both lost the court case and paid out millions for it. But, point stands.
Attention all citizens. Attention all citizens. This is an alert from the Shinra Emergency Operations Center. Unidentified intruders have detonated a bomb inside Mako Reactor 1. Multiple explosions have been confirmed, as well as ongoing fire. In response, a disaster warning has been issued in Sectors 1 and 8. Structures in the area are at high risk of collapse, rendering the entire sector hazardous. Therefore, all residents of
No way.
This couldn't have been us, could it?
But what if it was?
What's done is done.
Merc's right. It ain't pretty, but we can't stop now. This was just the first reactor, and the planet won't be safe till we get the rest.
Yeah. We always knew this was gonna get messy.
And this is only the beginning.
Y'all gotta look at the bigger picture here. Nothing worth fighting for was ever won without sacrifice. Though you may not be crying out, I know you're in pain, just like the planet. But it's okay, 'cause I'm here for you, to help take the load off your shoulders. Your fears, your worries, your concerns, and yes, your fees. Whatever your problem, I got you.
So, what's our next move, boss?
That's easy enough. We get our asses home!
And next time on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to explore the aftermath of that Mako reactor explosion more thoroughly and the chaos it brought. But until then, you guys take care now. Peace.